Hey, welcome to the Busted Zipper podcast. Today I got Josh, Lacey, and Trevor. Josh, what do we got today?
Got a few things that are hot off the press. We'll start with a little Star Wars action. It has been reported that the Han Solo movie that's coming out, the origin story for Han Solo, the Phil Lord and Christopher Miller, the directors, have left the project due to I think it's creative differences.
Yeah.
You know, the phrase they use for every single director always leaving a project. We've talked about this movie a couple of times on the podcast. We're going to go into a little bit deeper here on something that Chase brought up last week. But I mean, I've always been iffy about this, save for Donald Glover as Lando. What do you guys think about two directors? It's not always a bad sign. Movies have survived after directors have left, but it's definitely not a good start.
It's the Han Ono movie because we don't even have one director. It's not even a solo director.
Yeah,
that's a bad joke.
It was a great joke.
Can we take it back? We start again, Lance?
Yeah, I'll edit that one out. Sorry.
It isn't a good sign. I mean,
Right.
it's not like a
It's
great
never a
thing,
good
but
sign.
they just kind of started, right? I mean, it's not.
right.
You know, it's
Is the name of this movie just Han Solo?
I have no idea.
that's real creative on their part.
I don't really care about the movie because it's not. I mean, Han Solo is what's his name? Harrison Ford. So
yeah,
to
not
me,
Alden Ehrenreich.
right? Yeah, I mean, Chase brought that up. Last podcast. Like, it's not Han Solo because it's not Harrison Ford. So
Yeah.
again, I don't care about this movie. So nobody else apparently does either.
Yeah. Again,
That's
I
what
would
I'm at.
rather see a Lando origin story starring
Yeah.
Donald. I would rather see a one-man show starring Donald Glover as Lando Calrissian
yeah.
than see this movie.
I'll take that.
Which kind of leads me to my next question. Would you guys... There are a lot of origin stories nowadays based on properties that already exist, so whether they recast it or whatever, would you guys rather see something like this, or would you rather see another Rogue One? Not just Star Wars, I'm talking about any movie.
Across the
Would you
board.
rather see a separate, like a spin-off movie with original characters, or would you rather see a deeper look at a pre-existing character? Like,
For me, I think it depends on the origin story.
Right.
I bring the Disney side of things to your podcast, but like Disney's doing something with their origin stories right now where they're giving characters an excuse for why they are the way that they are, and that I dislike. If
Right.
you're just adding fuel to the already existing story, I think an origin story can be fascinating and exciting. But if, like, for instance, Maleficent, they made her a sympathetic good guy character in
Right.
her backstory with their origin story,
Right.
and it totally negates the Maleficent that you see in Sleeping Beauty.
She's sort of, I mean, look at a game like Kingdom Hearts. She is sort of looked on as the de facto evil in the Disney world.
Yes.
Like, she is sort of evil incarnate in terms of this whole universe. But now she just got her heart broken, guys.
Yeah, and she really loves Sleeping Beauty. She was just taking care. Like, that's just that it negates everything that Disney had already established. So
Right.
I think if you supply backstory that kind of, I don't know, enhances the story that you already have, I think an origin story is great. If you're negating everything you've already done,
Right.
Right.
give me an original. Give me
Right.
something new.
Yeah, two things. I think, in regards to Han Solo, it's like, is this origin story just going to be a bunch of like moments where he clearly shot first? You know what I mean?
Is it going to be...
To establish that, like, that's what he does, man. He shoots first,
Right.
okay?
Yeah, why do we need an origin story about Han Solo?
Well, I think
Right.
that's... Not to interrupt you here, but that's part of Han Solo's mythos, is that he's this mysterious
Yeah.
sort of...
Right.
This mythological almost. He's the smuggler that appeared out of nowhere. He's supposed to appear out of nowhere, and kind of he's this this Lone Ranger who does what he wants. I don't want to see why he does what he does. That's what makes Han Solo Han Solo.
Right.
Well, to that point, too, and you know this is coming, or it's probably already been confirmed, or, is about to be, there's going to be a Boba Fett thing, and to me, that was the draw of Boba Fett. was
Yeah.
that, the reason he was such a well liked and popular guy was because he was mysterious. And you're like, but I want to know about that dude. He doesn't say anything. He nods his head. He's not even that good at his job.
But
you know what I mean?
Truly,
but like,
I don't want an origin story about Boba Fett. I want another story with him. I want him.
let's just
being
pick
a
up from the
badass.
Sarlacc pit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My dream, in terms of Star Wars offshoots, would be to have Ewan McGregor reprise his role as Obi-Wan and see what happens between episode 6 and episode 3 and 4 with Obi-Wan played by Ewan McGregor again. He's a little older.
He would be great. I
Yeah.
would love to see that.
and that's not a rehash. That's just that's what
Right,
Lacey
it's-
touched on. It's a continuation of the story.
Right.
We
Just
get-
give us another story with this character.
It's
Yeah.
a slight, like, I guess, problem with the culture today is that we just want more, and so
Yeah.
it's like that was part of the draw, maybe before the movies came out of the prequels, right? It was like you're going to get to see the origins of these characters that you already have loved,
Right.
that everybody loves, and then I remember
origins
when like
suck.
episode 1 came out, you're like, but what's like Qui-Gon like as a kid? It always kind of
Yeah.
goes that route. You're like,
Right.
well, now we got to do a Qui-Gon origin, and then we got to introduce his master, and now we got to do a origin for his
Well, yeah.
master, or
Except they
let's do
messed up and-
young Yoda. That's like, when does it stop? At some point, you got to kind of rein it in a little.
Except
bit,
they
right?
messed up and made all the characters we see later in the series, Anakin, like all the characters that will continue on, they made them suck, and all the characters that were cool died. Qui-Gon, Darth Maul, Mace Windu.
And then you're like, but I wanted more of
I
those
wanted
guys
more of that.
specifically.
Yeah, I
And
saw
Jar Jar's
rumors-
still alive.
I saw rumors about a Darth Vader standalone movie, and that just feels like, oh, we fucked up on Rogue One. We didn't give you enough Vader. We need a whole Vader movie, which I feel that was their one chance to make Vader look badass and
Yeah.
be really feared because
They should go.
One
If they
scene.
want to do that, they should go straight Force Unleashed. Then, and
oh man,
don't
get me started.
But at the same token, that movie's already made, right? Because of the
Right.
games. It's like, we don't need to see it because no matter what you do it, and it's
Then
not
we
going to
enter
add
a
up.
whole other-
Why not? Let's just take the word origin and make it a bigger word into original. Let's just do
Hey.
original
Hey.
movies.
Hey.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
to your question too, I would rather see more of that. As much as I enjoyed Rogue One, and I'm excited for the future of these Star Wars films. Like, can we do something that isn't connected at all? Because Rogue One obviously had, the door was being held open by Episode 4 and Episode
Right.
3, right, or whatever,
I'd
to
ra-
tie
I
it
mean-
in. It's like, let's go to a far corner of this universe with characters we don't know anything about prior, because then all bets are off and there's no rules. And now you could, and with Star Wars,
And if
you could do whatever you want.
If you want fan service, include a species that's in Star Wars, mention a character or whatever, that will always happen.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would rather see a Rogue One where it's original characters in a familiar universe, and
That was part of its success,
over
wouldn't
a
you agree?
Han Solo movie. Yeah,
Yeah.
that
because
like
people
we
like
didn't
the
know
new-
these characters.
Like, oh shit, they're all
Yeah.
new. Yeah. Star Wars. The next.
Transitions are fun.
Yeah, there's no transition here. Well, no, we will talk about spin-offs. Speaking of spin-offs, HBO has confirmed that they're in the works of 7, I think, different Game of Thrones spin-offs.
Excuse me. 7 different shows.
They're looking at. One of them is
Oh, okay.
all damn near confirmed.
Game Show of Thrones.
Game show. of Thrones. I wish. The Game of Thrones. It's an SNL sketch. It's so good. But one is like next to confirm Dunk and Egg, which is there's a really good book Lacey read. I'm currently reading about 2 characters and their various adventures. I think a good thing that could be done with something like this is American Horror Story style or American Crime, I think is what it's called. The miniseries or True Crime, right?
The
Yes.
OJ one? Yeah.
Where each season is a new set of characters set in the Game of Thrones universe. I think that is increasing in popularity, that style of show, and I like that because it's a fresh. That's what a lot of shows run into the problem of nowadays, and why you see so many cancellations is, do we cram all of our good moments and our good storytelling into the first season and then lose viewers in the back end, or do we risk it and have a slow burn but risk getting canceled after a season?
Right, because everyone's like, get to the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's why I think one season miniseries, that's a word, are also gaining in popularity because it's a new show every season, but in the same style.
I just read sorry to cut you
No,
off, but
please.
I just read an article this morning from Variety, and it was talking about how audiences are all about the shorter media now. Like YouTube is becoming a huge venue for, it doesn't matter how short the content is as long as they're getting the story and the message across. And that's what audiences are now being drawn to. Even TV shows, people have a hard time sitting down and committing to a series because they're like, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to like it for 9 episodes.
Is it a control thing? Like, is it like, because YouTube, you can watch. I'm gonna sit down and watch 3 YouTube videos right now, right?
Yeah.
And then I'm done. It never ends at 3. Let's be real, because you go down that rabbit hole. You're like, what have I done with my Friday? But like, is that the thing? Because like streaming devices are similar concepts, and that like I have the library of things at my disposal, and I get to decide when I watch it, how many I watch. I'm not gonna let the network tell me I have to wait a week.
It seems like a very old man yells at cloud thing, but I think it's also attention span. You see the rise of Instagram videos, of Vines, of all these things that I can get a full video that I'll laugh at in 6 seconds. Why bother with anything longer?
Why invest in a freaking 21-minute Family Guy episode?
Well, I was just going to bring up Family Guy, but they hit the nail on the head. Family Guy, you could cut out a minute of any Family Guy episode and you'll get a standalone joke that you don't have to watch the episode.
Because of all the throwbacks that they do.
All the throwbacks and all the stupid bits. But you do that with a classic comedy back, the original Simpsons, or even further back, any of the classic sitcoms that it's a long arc. I Love Lucy, all those old ones. It's a longer arc. You have to watch the whole episode. You get involved in the story. But there's pros and cons of both sides.
It kind of scares me, because I'm like, we're slightly derailing anything from your original topic, but it's
fine.
Like if I like forecast that down the line, like I could foresee a not so fun future of watching certain things, or like even with comedy, it could really ruin it, because now you're like, distill your shit down into 6 seconds or whatever, and be funny now, and give me your story in 3 minutes, and that's it. And it's like,
thankfully, I think you have the AMCs, the HBO, the Stars, the companies that are digging their heels and saying, no, we're gonna put out
the old scripted shit.
The same high quality scripted material that we have been putting out.
And those shows like Game of Thrones, back to our topic, I feel like people have such a connection to these shows that they're willing to go full in on them, right?
There is no show on TV right now except Game of Thrones that I watch the night it comes. Like, we have DVR, so I'll save things and I'll watch a couple. Whenever, a week or two later, I'll watch a couple in a row and be like, okay, cool. Game of Thrones is a show that I will clear my Sunday night for and sit and watch when it airs.
Right. And there's not too many people that I've spoken to that have started it and not like kept going within that show. Like, they have to keep watching it. There's nobody that's like, not my thing.
Right.
Everybody gets into it and everybody's locked in.
Yeah.
It is a thick show.
Yeah.
I'll say that. I mean,
Game of Thrones is proof that it can be done. You don't have to.
So going forward, then I don't know if I would really want like these American Horror Story
miniseries
show.
style.
Yeah, like give me a miniseries, but give me a great miniseries. Give me a great 9 episodes, like a long movie.
Yeah.
Play everything out for me.
Give me.
I want to see that.
I mean, that's what Game of Thrones has perfected the intense. What I think The Walking Dead did so well when it first started, and now it's kind of petered off and it got better and whatever. But give me an intense first episode and a half of the season. Fucking 5 episodes of exposition. Nothing is happening. Then the last 2 episodes of the season.
Yeah.
I mean,
we kind of can't stop ourselves though, because I think you posted just something the other day on Facebook about now I'm gonna blank, Supernatural, right? They're doing like a Supernatural spin-off.
Oh, I don't know.
No, it wasn't me.
Maybe it wasn't either you, but somebody. It was like there's this talks of it doing a Supernatural, and that's a show I haven't never gotten into, but I know it's like in its 11th season. It's still like going super strong,
people love
like
it.
very rapidly followed. But I think of shows like Breaking Bad. And the legend is that Vince Gilligan was like, I knew from the get-go where I wanted it to end, and I always kind of knew we were going to have really like a tight window of seasons. We were never just going to overstay our welcome. And that's great, but even still, there must have been a push at some point for give me more Breaking Bad so we get Better Call Saul.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and as a fan of that, and as somebody that's wearing a shirt, it's like, great, I want to see that, but it's sort of feeds into the beast a little bit, because it's like we just can't ever have enough. Like, I think there's something to be said about going, this is what you get, and that's what you get.
Yeah.
It's an interesting argument, because Breaking Bad is a perfect example. Vince Gilligan, was it 5 seasons, right?
5 seasons.
He's like, I'm ending it at 5 seasons.
And everyone's like, you're crazy. You have the best show on TV. You could go 10 more. But
now,
I don't want to.
But now it's going down as one of the best shows in television history.
Right.
I think because Vince Gilligan said, no, 5 seasons,
Right.
this is my story. And the inverse of that, you look at something like How I Met Your Mother, and if you finish that show, there's a lot of issues. I won't spoil it, whatever. But there's a lot of issues with the ending, because the ending was sort of, they did a 180 and they kind of boomeranged back where they were like 2 seasons ago, and everyone was like, why? And then after a while, the creator came out and said, yeah, we didn't plan on going that long.
Yeah.
But
Well, yeah, and that's what happened with Penny Dreadful. It was one of my favorite shows, and the creator said, I think mid-run through season 2, he's like, this is only going to be 3 seasons. He told the creators, like, this is it. We get 3 seasons.
Conversely, you mentioned Walking Dead. I thought I read something a while back where they said we have no intention of ever stopping.
they said, no.
It's the most watched show on cable TV or
Right.
whatever, right? And it's and in that sense you could understand that, but it's like they're going to go forever.
Robert Kirkman said they'll go until
and
they're
that's
told to
probably
stop.
not a really good call.
No, it's going to drag.
You know? Cuz like what's yeah.
Zombies gotta die.
Or everybody does,
Either
right?
everybody dies or all the zombie dies.
Yeah.
Back to Game of Thrones, though. A new Game of Thrones Season 7 trailer released about an hour ago from filming this.
Damn.
Lacey and I are completely caught up. I know you guys, you don't partake and you're a little behind.
I'm-
Way behind, but yeah.
I'm an
It's
alien.
those of that watch the trailer. It's phenomenal. This season and this is the second to last season. It's going to be 2 episodes shorter than all the other previous seasons. 7 as
7
opposed to
to
10.
Second to last, really? Okay.
Yeah, second to last season. And all of the cast have said how this season and the next are more action packed than any other.
It
I mean,
looks yeah.
everyone, even if you don't watch Game of Thrones, you know the phrase is "winter is coming, blah blah blah." The name and tagline of this trailer is "Winter is here." And if you watch it, if you need to watch it, but Lacey made a good point. At the end of the trailer, Sansa says something.
Sansa at the very end of the trailer says something along the lines of, when the snow has fallen and the cold wind blows, the lone wolf dies and the pack survives. And where we left off last season was Cersei taking over everything as Queen of King's Landing.
Yeah, for various reasons.
And all other characters on their way pretty much to joining together and banding together.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's too easy of an answer, but that's kind of what
Yeah.
the trailer
That's something Game of Thrones really
teased
does
at.
well, is they either give you the super predictable, like in the Battle of the Bastards, one of the best episodes they've ever had
ever.
from last season, completely predictable, albeit incredible. You were like, I bet he's going to die, I bet he's going to survive. Every time you said
it
that,
happened.
it came through. It came true. But they'll also give you the opposite, where you're like, holy shit.
He's gonna die. Oh no.
Yeah. So I think it's something that a lot of shows wish they did as well as Game of Thrones is
Yeah.
they'll either give you the completely predictable outcome or they'll give you the exact opposite of what you expected, and you never know what's going to happen, which is
Well, yeah, that's an interesting, I think, idea or concept to talk about with shows or planning entertainment in general. Like, I think sometimes people look at swerving an audience as being like well written,
right.
and I don't think in and of itself, just because you did something that somebody didn't see, doesn't necessarily make you like this genius. Because it's like you could probably bend your own rules within the world you've created, and you didn't see that coming. And it's like, well, yeah, no wonder I didn't see it coming, because there was no even like signs about
I didn't
that.
know that it could have happened.
Right,
Yeah.
right, yeah. Whereas sometimes I think giving an audience what they want to see, even if it is predictable, is maybe the best payoff.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah,
right?
I think as a creator and as a writer, you kind of owe that to your audiences at some point.
least every now and then.
Yeah, not
It can't
you
just
know,
be
it doesn't
one way
always
all the
have
time,
to be,
right?
Yeah, it doesn't
Spoilers,
always have to be a
little
happy
twist.
ending. It doesn't always have to be, you know, every knot is tied and up in a pretty package at the end of everything.
Yeah.
But
Right.
as putting out content, you have to in some ways keep your watchers, your listeners, you have to keep your audience happy. You have to keep them coming back for more, and that's not always.
Yeah.
And isn't
not
Game of
always the
Thrones
case.
ahead
Yeah.
of the books?
Oh
now
yeah,
at
it's
this
now officially
point?
ahead of the books.
They're totally
But it's been said
Because I remember for a while, because that's like the one show on social media that everybody gets really upset about if you spoil.
Yeah.
And there was this great meme that would go around or something. It was like George R. Martin and chilling with a bunch of books. He's like, "Oh, you worried about spoilers? Well, you read the books." You know what I mean? 'Cause,
Yeah.
like, this existed before the show, but now
Right, but now
they're
it's
in territory that's uncharted.
and
So it's like,
they've said that it's totally separate from
oh.
anything else. Speaking of Uncharted,
Oh, I'm so glad you caught that.
transitions are fun. One of the directors of the Uncharted series, The Lost Legacy, is coming out soon. Their sort of spin-off game starring.
Can't wait.
It's Chloe, right?
Chloe, yeah.
They said someone asked him if the Uncharted universe will be dead after The Lost Legacy, and he said, "I highly doubt that, or I highly expect that to be the case."
Where's
Can't
my
be.
Sully origin?
If we're talking about origins, I would.
But
say,
I'd be all about that, dude.
play as Sully
Ooh,
in
young
younger
Sully?
days.
Yeah.
Something. I mean, everyone knows Naughty Dog could poop on a CD and sell it, and I'd pre-order it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Something I think Naughty
It would
Dog.
be game of the year.
Hell yeah, it would, because it's Naughty Dog. I think Naughty Dog is too. We'll talk a little bit more about this with Wonder Woman. I want to give them props in terms of they've, for a while, since like Uncharted 2, they have handled, save for obviously the Metroid series, they've handled strong female characters in video games better than a lot of companies. Because you look at the characters on Uncharted, you look at Chloe, you look at the characters in
Elena.
The Last of Us, Ellie. Naughty Dog they do the thing where I don't want to get too like preachy or social justice,
Do it.
but there's games like Metroid where Samus is strong because she's got a suit of armor and she can blow things up. But like Naughty Dog, I'm just gonna be jerking off Naughty Dog here, but it's fine. Naughty Dog does a thing where like their characters, both male and female, are equal because they're good at what they do, and they don't have to be anything other than they are. So Ellie is resourceful because she's a scrappy little kid in the middle of the apocalypse. She can't fight.
But it maybe has nothing to do with her being a woman.
Exactly.
Or
That's
girl.
exactly
Right.
what it is.
Yeah.
She's a scrappy kid in the apocalypse who happens to be immune. Spoiler alert. So she can do things that Joel can't, but she can't fight like Joel can. So she's not going to try to punch anybody out. She's going to She's going to sneak around, tell Joel what to do, and go through infected areas that he can't. For example, things like Chloe and everybody. That's why I'm excited for The Lost Legacy, because it's an Uncharted game, but it's proving you don't have to be Drake for these games to be good.
Right. Absolutely. Well said. I think,
Yeah.
I've always thought that. And I remember that was like one of the lasting memories when I first played through The Last of Us was I am in love with Ellie, and not having really anything to do with the fact that it's a girl. It was just like, this is one of the
character's
coolest
awesome.
characters I've ever
Right.
Yeah.
played with,
Yeah.
in a video game.
Yeah.
And for all those reasons, because of the things she was able to do and what she meant to the story and what she meant to Joel. And then it was like, oh, and it's just great that it is a female character.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
You
it
know?
has her being so cool had nothing to do, or so good had no effect of it was because she was a girl. It just added bonus. Also in Uncharted 4, right away at the beginning of the game, you get the shit kicked out of you by a woman. Nadine, you
Oh,
remember
yeah.
that? In the
Oh, yeah.
library?
Yeah, I
She
was
beats
like-
your
Badass,
ass.
man.
Queen
Yeah.
Nadine.
Yeah.
She's
Oh,
the
she's
best.
she's dominant.
She's the
I love
best.
that
I want a
character.
spin-off game with Nadine.
Yeah, let's go. Origins.
As far as Uncharted goes, though, I'm just not done with Drake. I don't know.
Yeah, I wouldn't
I will
mind-
miss him.
I wouldn't mind
Yes.
if whatever universe we
I
go
love Nolan North, so give me more Nolan North.
Yeah.
What if we go so far in the future we're playing as Drake becomes Sully and we're playing as his daughter? Because I mean,
That's cool. I guess. I need
But what
a
if
lot
his
of
daughter
them, though.
pulls him back in?
Well, I need a lot of Drake though. I listen. I'm a big PS guy. That's all I buy anymore. I don't really go into Xbox, and every PS comes with an Uncharted game, right? I mean, ever
Yeah.
since PS2 or PS3, when it was like the new gen or the next gen games.
that was there. There was like, look what we can do.
Yeah, like
Uncharted.
yeah, we're gonna show you. We're gonna show you everything we can do with Uncharted, and that's what I want. I want more Uncharted games. I want more Drake.
But that's what it felt like. The epilogue to Uncharted 4. I'm not going to say who is who or whatever. But when you played as the girl, and you were doing shit that Nathan does, that's what it felt like. Is like, hey, what if we had another game where you played as
Well-
her and Nathan was your Sully?
Okay.
Yeah, and to
I'll
go
take
back
it.
to The Last of Us, that feeling when it switched over to winter,
And you play a
and
certain.
you were like, oh shit, I have to control Ellie. It was like,
Yeah, it was like-
dude, it
and-
was another.
and it was
It was like get forward on the edge of your seat moment, you know.
And it was smart too because you had way less health than Joel. You couldn't.
You had
do
a
as-
knife.
You had a knife and a bow and arrow. Like you had to adjust your play style because you weren't this tank with old man strength. You were a 15-year-old girl who had to hunt to survive. God, I love Naughty Dog. God damn it.
Yeah.
That seems to be the trend of games that we're going towards, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're thinking about that for Arkham, the new Arkham games.
Yeah.
Maybe Robin and Batman kind of a thing.
Yeah, God of War.
It's
It's
interesting.
gonna
Yeah,
be
God
it.
of War.
Oh, you're
That's
right. Because he's like his kid now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to HBO a little bit. Damon Lindelof, who is currently doing The Leftovers, which I haven't watched but hear only good things about. I think it's on HBO.
Why do I know
maybe
that
it's
name?
Show.
Well, he's did something else, right?
He did the new Star Trek movies, World War Z.
Mm.
He's done writer, producer, showrunner, a couple of things, but it's starting to come out that he is going to make a Watchmen series for HBO.
Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with the Watchmen, save for the movie. I know you're not. Do you read it or just see it in the movie?
Little bits and pieces, but yeah, mostly the film.
The whole
yeah.
concept of the Watchmen. Will you?
It's kind of I'm sure somebody out there can be like, "You're so way off," but it's the premise was like, at least in the film, right, was that who watches the Watchmen,
Yeah.
and the Watchmen were these the superheroes for they like the kind of harken back to the golden age of
Right.
of like
All right, let's read the synopsis here.
Oh, okay, yeah,
In
do
an
that.
alternate
Save me the trouble.
1985 America, costume heroes are part of everyday life. When one of his former commands is murdered, mass vigilante Rorschach,
One of the coolest characters of all time.
ever, uncovers a plot to kill and discredit all past and present superheroes. So that's the base of that story. I know that there's a few comics that were
Yeah.
kind of peeled off of that, though.
Yeah.
I know that there's a few of these.
It's to me it always felt like a story that was about these guys, this group of heroes that had good intentions. They formed a Justice League or an Avengers type of thing because they realized there were global threats and that they could stop them if they pulled their powers together. But then, as is always the case, somebody looked at them and said, well, you got the most powerful people
Right.
all in one room. What's going to stop us from them turning and kind of running everything? So somebody needs to keep them in check. The
Yeah.
government
The
being
sort of-
they type of thing. Like they can't just have carte blanche to do whatever they want. So
Nice. Freezing.
yeah, well, it's the heat. So it's sort of that type of tale, and yeah, like he had said in that, the story kind of starts with one of the old classic heroes getting killed.
Yeah.
And then as a result, everyone's kind of looking into it, and they're realizing, yeah, all the old guys, all of our heroes are getting killed off. Somebody's wiping them out. What's happening? And so the new age of guys, the Rorschachs, the I can't even think of any other ones.
Owlman.
Yeah.
Or is he called Owlman?
I think
Night
it's
Owl? Something?
Night Owl.
Night Owl. Yeah. Owlman is
Who's very much just Batman.
essentially, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Alan Moore who did The Killing Joke,
Right.
And stuff like that, and he's done a ton of like landmark comic book stuff. But it's that concept they follow, and so it's
Yeah.
like it's this mystery, and it's great. It's a really great book and great story, but it's that idea.
Yeah. I think it's perfect for an HBO series.
So is this a series where it's continuing on past one season, or is this a one?
That's a good question.
If it's a one-off, I think it's gonna be great. I mean, look
yeah,
how
I
much
think-
money they put towards Westworld and how great that was.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
And
more
they
than
had,
one season, right?
I think it could be one season because they did the book you read, HBO,
What book?
Liars, right?
Big Little Lies.
Big Little Lies.
Yes. And it was fantastic.
It was one season based off a large book, but I think they can definitely do that, a one season show. I think Watchmen, if they had, say, 8 1-hour episodes, you can cover a lot of ground of a comic series like that and keep
But
a lot of fans
They
happy.
did that with Spawn, right? You can watch the series of
Yeah.
Spawn on HBO. I think they're bringing that back too. I think
The animated
I
show?
read that. Yeah,
That's
it's a killer show.
that is a fucked up show. It's cool.
But I mean, that's animated. Obviously, they want to do a live action, right? I mean,
Yeah, probably.
yeah, I'm down for it. I think it'll be awesome, especially with what HBO's willing to do for their shows.
Hell yeah.
That'd be great.
I love Westworld. Taking a hard left, Sega has announced a couple of things. There's going to be a Sega Genesis micro console coming out in September with 85, 88, 80 some games on it, much like the Nintendo game. But they just announced Sega Forever, which is going to be an app on your phone. It's a free-to-play, ad-based app. And every 2 to 3 weeks, they're going to add new games to this app. And if you want to buy the game and remove the ads, it's only $2
Oh wow.
Per game.
per game. But I mean, that's 2 games for Sonic, for Comic Zone,
Yeah.
for all these classic Genesis games on your phone. And I
Streets
think
of
it's really
Rage.
smart. I fucking hope so. I think it's really smart because you have this sort of this offshoot of a demographic that is pretty untapped right now that I think you fit perfectly. Did you play Sonic?
No.
I'll take Crash for example. You're starting to see it tapped into nowadays. Is like you played Crash Bandicoot a lot, but like you don't go so far into the first person, the new age stuff, the side scrollers, all that. The classic template of video games is still very appealing to both casual and hardcore gamers alike. And I think whether it's revamping old games or whether it's making new ones like Shovel Knight or Castle Crashers, I think it's a really big market that you don't see a lot of AAA companies maybe investing in as much as, say, an indie company.
I think just like any trend, people like, I mean, video games has been around since what, 70s, 80s. I mean, majorly in the 80s.
Yeah.
Those people are starting to grow up and have kids, so now they're starting to go like, oh, I remember this game. You should play this. You know, so Sega's finally like, oh, we found our niche. We
Yep.
can come back.
Yeah.
Because everybody wants our games again. Everybody wants to play us again. Everybody's buying our accessories, like me. I'm
Yep.
buying old accessories for my Genesis. So it's kind of that trend that comes back, and parents want their kids to play what they played. And
Yeah.
I think it's awesome
Yeah,
because
I'm about it. I'm going to do that. Sorry.
Yeah, no, totally.
Don't apologize.
Force
I'm
our-
not sorry.
Yeah.
Force our kids to play a game. And we can fucking play
Play it.
Ocarina of Time.
Listen,
If you don't
yeah.
play this game, you don't get your
You're not-
you don't get your dinner,
You-
and you can't get dessert until you
Yeah.
get dinner, right?
And you can't play
You're shutting
Assassin's
your-
Creed.
I want a Game Boy Advance or a Game Boy Color. Like that's
that's
Yeah.
the era.
That's what I played, and that's what I want now.
Yeah. Absolutely.
I feel like we're going to be telling our kids, no. You can't play Uncharted, like the new Uncharted or the new Assassin's Creed,
Until-
until
Right.
you go through what we had to go
That's what
through.
I'm saying, yeah, you
Play
gotta
some
unlock
Pong,
it.
play some Mario.
Yeah.
You have to go through it like we did. Yeah, exactly. Like
So you can
by the time we got to
appreciate it.
Uncharted,
Yeah.
we nutted. It
I
was
don't
like
wanna-
we had to go.
I don't want to see a single kid complain about PS4 or PS5's graphics.
No.
I'll
shut
punch him in his face.
Yeah, what an age to be born in.
I'll
Like
hit a
this
kid.
is their awareness of video games.
Yeah.
It's like, man, you have no idea.
Yeah.
You gotta
Some
learn
of the
today.
video games we had to sit through.
But I mean, some of them are still regarded as the best games of all time.
True.
Like, you
Yeah.
look at Ocarina of Time. I mean, a lot of them came out on the 64. Honestly, maybe that's just me, but a lot. Something too, I've talked about before. I think is really. I'm surprised we haven't seen much of is. You see these games, the Skyrims, these even Uncharted with these double-digit hour playtimes, like in Skyrim and Fallout and the Bethesda games, you can have 100-hour playtimes and not finish everything.
The Witcher.
The Witcher 3. Fuck yeah. But then you have games like Comic Zone, you have the old Mario's, Castlevania, what are the Metal Slug, all these old really difficult games that took 30, 40, 50 hours to beat, and it's not because there's only 9 levels,
Yeah.
but they're so punishingly hard
Right.
that you have to master every single move that the enemy does. And
You had literally needed to get the timing down of
Yeah.
the game, right?
Yeah.
Because it was all just like it's all based on rhythm.
And I think punishingly hard games, there's still a market for them. I mean, Lacey has seen me play Dark Souls and almost break our coffee table.
Yeah, many times.
Same with Bloodborne. Like, it still exists. You can still tell that. That's why I think I like so much that it's very clear now that people who played games back in the day are now making games. And I think that's why
Absolutely.
we're all. I would venture to guess we're in the golden age of video games right now. Who knows what's going to come in the future? I'm worried that this is a whole different discussion for a different day. But I'm getting a little concerned that technology is overshadowing video games. Like VR is cool, but I'd rather play a good game
Yeah.
than
Yeah.
be blown away by the
Yeah.
visuals of it
And the story.
and the story. Yeah,
The
I'd rather-
visuals to a certain extent, right?
Right.
I had a conversation with somebody at work the other day saying, like, I'm good with graphics now. Like, it's getting way too real.
Yeah.
Let's not go any further than where it is
Yeah.
right now, because then it's
Graphics
just a
are
movie.
perfect where they're
Because then
at.
pretty soon I'm going to be killing actual people in
Right.
games or something.
You can
know?
see the life leave their eyes.
Right, right. Because that was always the big thing for a while. It was like, this game looks really good, but the eyes, no matter how good you are at animating and designing, that the eyes were always going to look dead.
Yeah.
You know, not,
As you're
not for
stabbing
long.
him, you can see him mouth his wife and kids' names
Right.
as he's falling.
Yeah. So I hope you're proud of that.
But what's that? I mean, but that all comes back to, I mean, Uncharted is so great because of the story, and
Right.
The Last of Us is so great because of the story. You run into games. There was a game that came out a couple of months ago that was like, there are endless worlds that you can travel to and
No Man's
explore.
Sky.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's like,
no
it
content.
lasted, it was hot for like a week because of the graphics, and then everyone was like,
It's-
I'm over it.
It was
Because there was
free
no.
like 3 weeks in.
Yeah.
Wasn't
They,
it?
they,
Yeah.
they're like, okay, just please someone play it.
Yeah.
I think it's to that point. Essentially, I don't think The Last of Us or Uncharted, as examples, have very complicated stories. Like if you try to break down like what's the basic story of The Last of Us without giving anything away, it's a pretty simple storyline.
Yeah.
But like it's compelling within the way it's written
And
and
the
the
characters.
performances.
The
Right.
telling.
And then yeah, the drama of it gets, the stakes get so high, and there's some very like butt clenching moments where you're like, but I think that's just it. It's like, let's just pare it down. Like we don't need all these frills and
Yeah.
escapism things where we can just go anywhere. Like that's fun, true, but like there is a merit to these older games because they were constrained by what they could build. It was just a pretty straightforward come at you video
Yeah.
game,
Yeah.
but you still found endless joy in
I mean,
that.
Kumail Nanjiani, the comedian, makes a good point in one of his bits where they didn't have the memory, they didn't have the RAM to give you this big story, so you had to know the story by playing it. So like games like Castlevania, you got a shitty little avatar doing a couple lines of text, but that's all they had space for to give you story. So you had to pull the story from the game, and I think that's what like. I love Witcher 3. It's one of the greatest games of all time. But if you had like said, "All right, give me the Witcher 3 plot in 2 sentences," I'd pass out. I don't know. You play as a Witcher. What's a Witcher? Oh God, like it's so complicated.
There's a card game.
But like you said, with something like The Last of Us, it's
It's the end of the world.
It's the end of the world.
Zombies are out there, and you're looking for a cure, right?
you're escorting a girl who is possibly the key to the cure. There you go.
Don't die.
Don't die. And it's the telling,
Stay
it's the
alive.
characters, and I think that's again.
Like
you-
Mario's got a more complicated plot than that, but you know.
But we went off. That's fine.
Sorry, yeah.
Sega's coming back. Moving on to Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, I believe it's called. They just began filming. They have a huge cast.
Yeah, you were telling me earlier.
Yeah, Millie Bobby Brown is starring in it. Now I'm blanking on all of them. Thomas Middleditch. Huge cast. Lance, you want to help me out?
Yeah, sure.
I'm drowning here.
We'll get it.
Is
But-
Bryan Cranston back?
Ow.
Or did he? I didn't see the first one, so I
see.
don't know.
Oh, okay. hold on.
Oh, well, I got bad news for you.
Can't win them all.
But
Sorry.
no, please. But they have confirmed the 3 monsters are who we got for the cast.
Millie Brown, Vera Farmiga. I'm not gonna
Farmiga.
say.
Vera Farmiga.
I love her. I can't say her name.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're
She's
playing-
O'Shea
she's
Jackson
cold.
Jr. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Kyle Chandler.
Hey, the coach. Yeah.
Yeah. Ken Watanabe.
Watanabe.
Watanabe. It's
Yes.
The-
Rachel Gould. Yeah.
Yeah. Also
Hollywood
from-
Hollywood's token Japanese actor.
He's the only one.
Yeah. Sally Hawkins. A couple other names.
A couple other people, Thomas Middleditch.
Oh, Charles Dance. There you
Yeah,
go.
I'm a huge
Cool.
Silicon Valley fan. Gonna be a really good cast. Millie Bobby Brown is playing Vera Farmiga's daughter.
Beautiful.
Oh my god.
Yeah. But it is King of Monsters, which is sort of they have a connected universe again.
Oh.
Because every company does.
Has to know.
Yeah.
But this one is a little different. I think this one's okay because it's Godzilla. But this one they've already confirmed Mothra, which everyone knows who Mothra is. Rodan, who is the sort of the pterodactyl-looking Godzilla villain. And Ghidorah, who is the 3-headed winged, who is known as the King of the Monsters. So Godzilla isn't.
He's the king lizard, right?
Ghidorah is,
Or
yeah.
something,
Ghidorah, who is the 3-headed winged monster, is also going to be in this. And this whole time, Monarch, this company that was introduced during King Kong, who is like monitoring all these monsters, it's their job to figure out how do we contain these global threats.
It's coming to a head, right, with
Yeah.
Godzilla and King Kong at some point.
Yeah, I think the next one after King of
Yeah.
Monsters is going to be Godzilla versus King Kong. I've talked about this before. I've ragged on connected universes before, but I'm going to talk about it because it's the stupidest and coolest idea. It's
I think I know where you're going.
Yeah, I think you do too. Is this Lionsgate? I think it's Lionsgate. Does both this and Pacific Rim.
Yep.
And the idea that Monarch is a company that ends up making the first... What are they called in Pacific Rim? Because kaijus are the monsters.
Kaijus and
The suit, yeah, I can't remember the name for the suit, but like the big robotic.
If the idea is that if Monarch is the one that creates this suit and we see the origin of Pacific Rim in a Godzilla movie, because whether it's a Godzilla himself or a Rodan or another monster comes up and they need a suit to help Godzilla take it out, I think that would be kind of cool. I didn't even like Pacific Rim that much. I liked it, but not as much as
I did like it, yeah, but we've either talked about that before or Chase and I have too, because like that was a conversation I've had with somebody else, and I'm like, dude, I didn't even think of that.
Yeah.
That wasn't even anywhere on my radar. If that's a thing, it's almost.
one of those
And I'm
that's
not even that
okay,
invested
fine.
in that world, but
No.
I'd have to stand up and
I
Shia
think
LaBeouf
maybe-
applause that.
I think maybe that's why it's like it's such a good idea, because it's not something. It's not this franchise we are getting crammed down our throats like the Dark Universe, like Marvel, like DC. It's just sort of here are these big blockbuster movies that come out in the summer that make a lot of movies. There's a lot of explosions, make a lot of money.
Right.
They're
fun movies.
They're fun movies. So hey, what if we put them together? It seems much more lighthearted to what movies used to be.
Yeah.
I feel like you'd see a crossover like that back in the '90s, where you're like, oh shit, they're putting those two together.
Well, you
Instead of-
did see it in the old days,
Yeah.
with freaking Laurel and Hardy, wasn't it? No, it was.
You're on your own.
Well,
Well,
hijack that train. No, but it was what was the one? There was the comedy duo where they crossed over with like the classic horror
Abbott and
icons.
Costello.
Abbott and Costello meet Frankenstein, all
That's
that
right.
stuff.
Yeah. The Mystery Gang meet
Yeah.
the Harlem Globetrotters.
oh boy. Yeah.
Anyway,
But
that's-
this is like Japanese. This is Japanese film, right? Godzilla. That's what they used to do, right? Everything tied into Godzilla,
Yeah.
basically. So
Godzilla was sort of the crux that all
yeah.
their movies are based on.
I'm about it here. Why not?
Why? Because it seems much more innocent. I don't know, in a weird way, because it's not an oversaturation. It's like, and Godzilla movies have been such a staple since we've all been kids.
Yeah.
I'm like, hey, it's a monster movie.
Well, look at
Oh,
the
it's-
original Godzilla movie. It was just a monster movie. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't see much of him because he's always fighting in the dark. But
Right.
there's not much character. I didn't care for any of the acting in it. Sorry, Bryan Cranston, but it was just a monster movie.
Yeah.
And that's all it is. That's all
Yeah.
it needs to be. I'm fine with
Agreed.
that. Can Michael Dougherty just go back and do Trick or Treat too, please? Thank you.
Next, more news about the new Jumanji movie came out.
Oh boy.
Our man Jack Black
Great.
was in a Hollywood Reporter interview, and he said that this movie, I think, is called Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Great.
Classic
Axl
Guns N'
Rose.
Roses. Starring him, The Rock, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillian. It is actually going to acknowledge Alan Parrish, Robin Williams' character from the first Jumanji. What's happening is this, like we talked about before, it's taking place in the world of the book. I mean, of the game. They're in the board game. This is what it's not. They're not coming out of it. These are characters that live in this game,
Within the game. So where he was
where he was
He was
trapped.
basically. Yeah,
And
okay.
they're saying, as they're trying to find some, I don't know what their ultimate objective is. They're trying to find something. They're trying to get out of somewhere. I don't know what it is. But as they're going along, Alan Parrish had left clues and supplies and traps while he was in there for 30 years. And they're going to come into, things that Alan Parrish left behind, his treehouse that he lived in for 10 years, all of his stuff that he had left behind. So Robin Williams is going to have a footprint in this movie because his character left all this stuff behind when he finally escaped the board game.
It
okay.
makes me so emotional.
Yeah. And I think
Oh, man.
this will be up for debate a lot, but I'm okay with that because it makes sense. They're not shoehorning this character in there. He's not some legend that, oh, do you remember blah, blah, blah. It's like, no, this is where he made a treehouse because he had to, and this is where he lived. It's not going to suddenly disappear. If this is taking place after his time in the board game, I don't know. To me, I'm okay with it. Again, I'm a little biased, but I'm also a huge Robin Williams defender.
Right.
I mean, so I don't think it's disrespectful. I think they could have gone in a much worse direction. I would have been okay if they didn't acknowledge him at all.
Yeah.
But I think it could have been much worse.
I think they're going to do it in a tasteful way. And it also comes out in December, so it'll be a great contrast to Star Wars for a family movie.
Yep.
How do you know it's not going to become the Robin Williams Connected Universe movies?
Oh my!
And now we go into the game,
Oh, you-
and it's
Damn
and it's Flubber, and it's
How they get out.
Patch Adams, and
They,
They-
the post-credit scene is them finding a magic lamp.
no, I'm kidding, obviously.
And then
about
we
that,
get the genie origin story.
but that is coming. No, Guy Ritchie's doing Aladdin.
Yeah. Aladdin, yes, that's fine. But there has been talks for a while now about an actual genie origin story.
Yeah.
And that's one of the ones that I feel like
You can't touch.
you can't touch it because he improved 90% of the genie.
Yeah, he did.
Like, he was that
Yeah, that guy was an
character.
animal. He's another
Yeah.
level.
The dude that plays him on Broadway is good.
He's great.
He's
yeah.
great for a Broadway production of Aladdin. But yeah, don't touch the genie film.
He's
Okay.
great on Broadway because he's
Chip.
doing Robin Williams' lines. He's doing
Yeah.
the character that Robin Williams created. The reason I don't think back to the origins, an origin story will work for the genie is because Robin Williams was the genie. He created that
Yeah.
character. He made that character what it was. You can't
Yeah,
backstory something
like
that
doing-
he made.
Right.
Yeah.
it's like doing a Forrest Gump sequel without Tom Hanks.
Right.
You can't.
You can't do a Colin.
What?
Colin Hanks.
Colin Hanks.
Dun, dun,
No, he's a
dun.
good actor.
He is.
Got three more things to talk about. Pretty big ones. The Black Panther trailer released a week
yeah.
or so ago. We just watched it before we started. It's a teaser, I guess.
Yeah.
And it fucking bumps.
I am
It's,
pumped.
Sick beats, bro.
it's
Yeah.
really good. I think Andy Serkis is going to be an incredible Ulysses Claw. For anyone that doesn't know Ulysses Claw's sort of origin, he's been Black Panther's sort of number one baddie for a while. He doesn't have an arm, which they did in Ultron. Ultron cut his arm off. It's replaced with this sonic amplifier that's made from vibranium from Wakanda that shoots projected sound. And he's one of Black Panther's villains because, as you've seen in both Civil War and in the trailer for Black Panther, shooting with bullets does nothing to him. But vibranium is made from, it's a metal that has a lot of audio qualities, so Claw can hurt Black Panther by shooting sound at him. So he's one of the people that
It's
can...
essentially his kryptonite. In a
Yeah,
way. Like he's found a way to weaken.
he found a way to damage Black Panther with the own material that his suit is made out of, and Andy Serkis is one of the most underrated actors of our generation.
Thank you.
In terms of, obviously everyone knows about his mocap stuff, but his pure acting when it's him on screen, he's phenomenal.
He's great.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And the supporting cast for Black Panther in terms of the Wakandans is through the fucking roof.
Well, I'm gonna make a prediction real quick too. I think Andy Serkis is gonna eventually have his own masterclass.
Please.
You know what I mean on those
Oh.
things. Like, you know
Okay.
those things you see. You're like, here's Andy Serkis masterclass on mocap
Yeah.
or something.
Oh, I would
or
pay so
whatever
much
it is.
money for
But
that.
anyway,
We'll speak on later.
yeah.
But Michael B. Jordan, Michael B. Jordan is one of the main, I don't know if he's going to be, his character is big in the comics. I don't know in the movie if he's an antagonist or just another character. But the entire supporting cast is through the roof in that movie.
Stacked.
With
Yeah.
a lot of Marvel characters too. I think Bear, I don't remember his name, but he's the main villain.
Man, bear, pig.
Man, Bear, Pig. The main villain is really good. It just looks good.
It does.
Whoever does Marvel's trailers is unbelievable.
Yeah,
But
I'm pumped.
I'm gonna sound like not like a fan because I can't remember the guy's name. Who's the actor that's
playing him?
the lead?
Oh shit! Now I can't think of his name either.
He's great because he was Jackie Robinson
Yeah.
in 42, and then he
Yeah, he's
played James
Great
Brown.
actor.
Yeah.
Right? Like, sorry, I need water. But he was kind of like breaking in. He was breaking in on like a mainstream level, playing famous people, and I remember
Yeah.
thinking that this dude's gonna have he's already got like a great career because he's playing like Jackie Robinson and he's playing James Brown,
Chadwick Boseman.
you.
Chadwick Boseman. I like him a lot.
Yeah,
He's
great.
phenomenal.
And I can't say I've seen all of his stuff, but I've seen enough of him to be like, I like this guy. He's a great actor. He's like he has all the qualities of somebody you would hitch your wagon to carry a franchise.
Yeah, absolutely.
he's got leading man written all
Right.
over.
Well,
He's
yeah,
just
it's
super
Civil War.
talented.
I mean,
He stole every
I was
scene he
just
was
gonna say
man.
that. I walked out of Civil War with him being my favorite
Yeah,
character. He
me
was
too.
the one that I wanted to know more about and
right.
see more of.
And I was pumped for the movie after Civil War.
Yeah, he's great, super talented. But on that note, I know really nothing about Black Panther.
Admittedly,
So I'm
me
like,
too, yeah.
I don't know. I just like it looks cool. Maybe I just need to go into it with the same mindset I had with Guardians, first Guardians movie. Not knowing anything about that, and then walking out going, "Holy crap!" That was
I know nothing
a
about
blast.
Black Panther solo. I know like he's part of the Marvel Illuminati, and I know he led the Avengers for a while, but I know nothing about his solo ventures.
Yeah.
He's very much in the vein of like Iron Man or Doctor Doom, where he is like a tier 1 character in that he knows every martial art. His suit is damn near indestructible. He's a super genius. Like he's a tier 1 character in terms of power level. So it'll be interesting to see how they manage that. I mean, they already showed it in Civil War. He took on fucking Captain America and the Winter Soldier by himself, and pretty much won if it weren't for other
Widow.
factors coming in. Yeah,
Right.
He is he sort of the impression I'm getting is that they're having to set up their next like generation essentially.
Yeah,
Like Doctor
the next-
Strange is
it's gonna be
and these
Doc-
characters like that.
it's-
So obviously
they've
he's
sort of-
a big part for Phase 2 essentially.
Then Phase 4.
Right,
essentially.
rather when the
They've
baton gets passed.
They've all but confirmed that Phase 4, instead of Cap, Thor, Iron Man, it's going to be Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Black Panther,
Got it.
Cool.
which I'm fucking okay with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then, of course, Captain Marvel is coming in with Brie Larson, and a couple other heroes are set to make. I don't know how intertwined the Inhumans are going to be, but that's a whole nother thing. Yeah, I don't even want to get started on that.
No.
Venom.
Yeah.
So a couple days ago, Amy Pascal came out and hinted that Venom, Silver Saber, and Black Cat are going to be in the same universe. They're going to be adjunct to Spider-Man: Homecoming. While not maybe being seen together, they're going to live in the same universe. Kevin Feige earlier has pretty much all but said, no, that's not happening, which I would probably believe him before her, just because he's in charge of the MCU and they seem to have the upper hand in terms of negotiations here. But I mean, Lance, you said that Venom wouldn't work without Spider-Man.
No.
I mean, you being a street level fan of all those, I mean, I think you would have to agree Venom is nothing without Spider-Man.
Agreed.
I think there can be a case for it. I think Venom, once established, can exist without Spider-Man, but I think it's almost impossible to
Right.
establish Venom without Spider-Man.
Right.
And I think that's where their problem comes in. I've seen a lot of people say, well, maybe they'll just do a strictly symbiote storyline, just about the symbiotes, not about Spider-Man, just the symbiotes. And the new announcement that came out today may add fuel to that fire, in that the rumor is the villain for the Venom movie is going to be Carnage. Which
That's huge.
it's got to be a hard R, because if you don't know Carnage is the product of the symbiote latching off of Eddie Brock, finding while he's in a cell with convicted serial killer Cletus Cassidy. Cletus Cassidy is like, he kills people for fun. When he was a kid, he killed his dog to see if he could when he was like 5 years old, and then it like spiraled him down. He killed his family. He kills people for the carnage of it. Like, that's his thing.
Right.
And the symbiotes, Spider-Man history lesson, you guys. The symbiotes, what they do, they don't mold your personality anyway. They enhance the strongest personality trait in you. That's why when Peter Parker was taken over by the symbiote, he didn't become
danced?
he danced like crazy. He didn't become evil. He just became like more passionate, because that's Peter Parker's thing. He hit harder, he swung faster. And Peter Parker didn't like that, so he removed it. And when it went to Eddie Brock was vengeful. He didn't like Peter Parker. He didn't like Spider-Man.
Right.
So when the symbiote attached to him, it was all. That's why
He became obsessive.
he wants
with
to
it.
eat Spider-Man. He
Yeah.
wants to kill Spider-Man. He became obsessed with vengeance.
Right.
And when it attaches to Cletus Cassidy, he just likes killing.
Right.
And that's Carnage's. He kills for fun. He killed an entire town in Colorado in Carnage USA, or took it over because he wanted to. Like, his whole thing is he's just this demented serial killer to the nth degree. And in the comic books, it takes Venom and Spider-Man teaming up to take him down. That's the first time they teamed up. So this will be very interesting because it has been straight up said that Carnage is stronger than individually Venom or Spider-Man.
Right.
Feels like a lot for one movie. That I mean, maybe they're planning to do more.
Right.
You got at this point. I just assume anything that's coming out is like, well, they're gonna do another one.
Which is kind of sad, but
Right, but and then when you cast somebody like Tom Hardy in it, it almost begs like, well, we need he has to be the star because
yeah.
he's got star quality and he's that good. It's like,
Man.
well, where do I don't know. My question would be like, where do we go? Like what?
Yeah,
Like
what's
can
next?
can Venom like carry multiple films?
I feel like Sony is just throwing as much to this fire as they can. Like,
to hold on to the
like
Spider-Man
hey, we got
IP.
Carnage, we got Venom, we got Tom Hardy, but you don't have Spider-Man. Like, I'm sorry, you're missing the biggest piece of this
Yeah.
whole thing. If this is a new Venom, you need to have Spider-Man for it. What are you gonna do? Like, start the movie with like the stuff coming down from the tower, and it's like, oh, that wasn't Spider-Man.
Honestly, maybe it might be like hinted at. Unfortunately,
Yeah, well, we talked about this before. Like, it's connected, it's not connected. Is it like Deadpool, where you're kind of doing like a parody, where it's
Right.
it's connected?
hey, it's the X-Men.
Yeah,
Right. Speaking of this movie, I already assume. Well, they already announced that it's going to be R-rated because it's Venom. But if they're going to do Carnage, as I said before, it has to be hard R.
Yeah.
Like Deadpool R, because he swears every other word. He tortures people.
right.
Venom himself is gruesome enough that just through graphic imagery alone,
Mhm.
it's going to be
Yeah.
pushing PG-13.
Right.
So
Oh, man, I don't know. I think this is a disaster. That's just me.
I'm actually. You all know how big a Carnage fan I am.
Yeah.
He's my favorite villain. Even I wish they didn't do Carnage right away.
Yeah.
I would have rather seen a Venom to see if they could do it, and then okay, it worked.
Mhm.
I trust him. Put him against his number one enemy.
Yeah, and I guess just because I'm not as knowledgeable about it, it feels to me like you're going, you're just everything at once type of thing. It's like after Carnage, where do you go?
Where do you go from there?
Right.
If you
Give her
if you
some
can't go
room to
Spider-Man,
grow,
if
right?
you can't go Spider-Man, where do you go from Carnage?
Right. So maybe it is a one-off movie, but it's like not in this age,
I mean,
man.
so- I mean-
especially if it has any kind of traction to
Right.
it.
Right.
you know?
When we had Andrew Garfield, they wanted to do a Sinister Six movie
Yeah.
with Venom. With
We totally opened it up at the end.
Yeah.
It's happening. Here's
Whoops.
everybody.
sorry,
Yeah.
no, it's not
Never
happening.
mind.
Our last thing we want to talk about: Wonder Woman. Who wants to go first?
Haven't seen it, so I won't.
Oof,
Why?
oof.
I haven't been in the movie.
Go.
Yeah.
Leave.
I finally saw
finish.
Go
Pirates,
now.
so-
Well, I'll jump in real quick then. We were kind of talking earlier in the podcast about director changes, and originally Patty Jenkins was not the first choice.
Thank God.
I think
she was.
initially, and I'm blanking on her name, and I would maybe Lance if you can find it. There was a director. I know she did Breaking Bad stuff. She did a lot of
Okay.
TV. She's done Game of Thrones even too. This director, and I'm totally blanking on her name, but she did a number of Breaking Bad episodes and has done mostly TV. I think she was maybe not attached to it originally, but like that was targeted. A lot of what I had heard, and then Patty Jenkins came in. But then the legend was that Patty Jenkins was originally supposed to do a Thor film.
Right. Yeah, I heard that.
And so that in this whatever battle between the brands you want to buy into, it's like a extra little win for DC to be like, well,
Yeah.
we poached your director and look at the movie that came out as a result of
Yeah,
it.
and now they
So
have.
all that to say, sometimes changes work out like it's great. It was great timing and it worked out really well because I think when you look at this film,
Yeah.
you got to stand up and give it a big round of applause
Yeah.
because
I mean,
holy hell.
you know less about DC than anyone here.
Yes.
You saw Batman vs Superman, right? Yeah, we saw it.
Mhm.
Your thoughts
They
on
don't. They don't even compare.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do enjoy superhero movies. I enjoy action movies. This one was in a league of its own. Like I feel like you can't
Madonna.
even.
No, I'm just kidding.
Yes, I mean, really though. But let's be fair. It's Cher. It's not Madonna. Cher is queen.
Yeah.
I feel like you can't even put them in the same caliber of filmmaking. Wonder Woman was, and this is coming from a woman. I mean, I pretty much cried from start to finish,
Can confirm.
whether it was from just watching Robin Wright, Gal Gadot, all of the supporting female characters I mean, the movie opens with them just kicking major ass,
And it's a badass fight.
and
It's-
holy
it's
shit,
that
some of the
fight
shots, you're like,
choreographer.
Yeah, the choreographer of that movie is unbelievable too.
It was. I mean, it was unreal, and not just on top of like the action and the superhero elements of the story. There was so much heart and there was so much compassion in the story that. Not that it's lacking in other superhero movies, but it's more of a self or group compassion. It's
Right.
concern for the other superhero friends or the
Right.
superhero group. Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, it was worldwide. It was a
Yeah.
compassion for humanity, and
Right.
I have so many words and I have no words.
Yeah.
It was
No, I get
it
it.
was
I mean-
so powerful.
Something they did really well. I was talking to Lacey about this after we left the theater, that a director could have really messed up on, which is why I think Patty Jenkins, who is already, by the way, in development of the sequel, it's
Right.
confirmed she's already working on the
They
sequel.
should be, yeah.
But she handled so well is that because everyone knew Wonder Woman, this movie was going to be this icon, they had to make it right.
It's a big deal.
It would have been really easy to fall into the trap of making her this immortal sort of gold statue, this infallible character. But Wonder Woman messes up in the movie more than once.
She has learning experiences for
Yeah,
sure.
both in dramatic ways and in comedic ways. It grounds Patty Jenkins grounded her perfectly. Also in the writing, I don't want to miss out giving credit to the writing too. But she had moments of real humanity where, like, when she first came to London and she didn't know the customs, or when she messes up in battle and has to learn on the job sort of thing, it really actually made it so you're like, okay, yeah, she isn't this perfect feature that. Because if Wonder Woman was too perfect in the movie, you'd be like, all right.
Right, and there are three things. Hopefully, I can get to because and since seeing it, I've read some things, and they're great points. I think one of them was somebody had said in this article that one of the things that works so well about that film is, and I'm just not going to be able to word it that well, so I apologize, but. Kind of what we're talking about with Ellie and The Last of Us, or these other strong female characters, that it's not just about seeing a female lead and then a female-led superhero movie that's also directed by a female. It's not just that. It's that it was actually the role reversal of the men in the film. Like, you have Chris Pine as Steve Trevor, and he was great because he supported her. And,
Right.
and
this is
and-
I've talked to Lacey about this. It could have very easily been a male damsel in distress,
Right.
where she has to save him, but instead he helped her.
he was
supported
still
her.
very competent.
Yeah.
And he did a lot of things, and obviously,
good.
without giving stuff away, he has a couple moments where he's sort of, through directly communicating with her, you can kind of tell affects her and changes her and
Yeah.
inspires her too. Like, and it's like there's a trade off. It's like she's obviously inspirational and stands for a lot, but then like. It's like, well, what inspires Wonder Woman? You know, there's something that has to have, like, given her motivation at
She
times
can't just
too.
be like, exactly.
Right, and so it was cool to see that the tables turn in that sense, but they never dumbed these characters down into these tropes necessarily, because it wasn't like, well, just because it's a female lead, we're going to make the guy stranded all the time. No.
Yeah,
It wasn't. It was like you had a very
kicks ass.
strong male character who deferred to her.
Yeah.
And as a result, it gave her even more like importance and weight, and then there was another thing I read, which is a little bit kind of, I thought, slightly silly, but maybe it matches my male perspective on it. But I get the point what they were making. This woman was saying that thank God Patty Jenkins did this, or that a woman was directing this film, because there was one shot where like Wonder Woman lands and does the sort of classic superhero land, but they said the way it was shot, you could see her thigh, because we know what Wonder Woman's wearing, and it jiggled. And she was like, it was an important thing to see Wonder Woman's thigh jiggle, because she said, and if a man had done this movie, they would have never focused on that. There would have been a lot of shots showing her just looking hot and beautiful and shit like that. But like we were actually kind of seeing all of her without like airbrushing it away or digitally getting rid of these things.
She
it was like,
5
here
months
I
pregnant
am.
during a lot of the filming too.
Right,
which is,
right. And
wow, Gal Gadot is the best.
and then this is the last thing I think, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think the jury needs to be out anymore or like undecided on Gal Gadot. She freaking crushed it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
And like has all the charisma in the world.
I would
talking
love
about
to see people's reason for not liking her.
Yeah, please point out what she's
I will
missing.
say, to play devil's advocate, so we can say something wrong with the movie. My one problem with it, you touched a little bit, save for Chris Pine, Robin Wright, the even side characters did get a little kitschy for me. Chris Pine's friends, when you get the sub characters, they were a little stereotypical for me. The Scotsman and the Native American, they were a little bit like, here's this token and here's that
right.
token.
It's
and
like
that.
very on the nose.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. It was on the nose.
Yeah.
But if that's my biggest complaint with the movie, I'm okay with it.
That's almost like in some ways I feel like that's almost a byproduct of just the industry and the way the movies are done. It's like it's like when they were I would imagine they were constructing this movie or whatever, and not that they made those characters up for the movie, but it's like we need characters that fulfill these things, right?
We need diversity.
Like, it's like, oh, okay, well we'll okay.
And instead of we need diversity, and so instead of making an important character who happens to be Native American, they made a Native American character,
right?
Which is a whole other thing I have a problem with. We'll get to that later. But instead of making a character who lives on their own, much like Ellie lives on her own, who happens to be a female, they made a character who is defined by his nationality or his whatever. You know what I mean?
Right. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
Chief in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's neither here nor there.
So with a successful Wonder Woman, a possible Batgirl with Joss Whedon taking the helm, has DC found its niche with
Females?
Females.
Fuck yeah, they have.
Is this going to push Marvel to finally do the Black Widow movie or another?
I
know that they're doing
Marvel.
Yeah.
With Brie Larson.
Yeah.
She's gonna be phenomenal.
And there's going to be a Harley one later on.
Yeah, they're doing the what's it called of
Birds of-
Gotham.
the Sirens.
Sirens. Yeah. So is that going to be DC's thing finally?
I hope so. I'm okay
Yeah,
with it because
good.
so far
They have a lot of great female
They've been the
characters.
ones to show up. I hated Suicide Squad, but I did not hate Margot Robbie.
Yeah.
Right.
She had nothing to work with, but I didn't walk away. I walked away. Really didn't like Jared Leto. Really didn't like a lot of the characters, but I walked away like I would watch another movie with Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn.
Yeah. Same.
With as much as I dislike Suicide Squad, I would not watch a Suicide Squad 2, but I would watch a movie with a Harley Quinn movie.
I'll watch a movie with Margot Robbie where she's in a burlap sack. You know what I mean?
Well, she's obviously the most marketable from the movie, so they're
Oh, yeah.
going to continue to make those. That's
'Cause
fine.
they're doing-
They just need to put some care into it.
Is that one going to be her, Ivy, and
Catwoman?
Yeah, they announced the 3 characters, and everyone keeps saying Jessica Chastain is Ivy, which I think is just fan casting. It's perfect fan casting, but I think it's just fan casting.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But she's got red hair. Great.
Great, because nobody's hair can change color,
Right.
or a wig or whatever. But yeah.
But I mean, if this is what they're good at, keep doing it, DC.
Yeah.
I have no problem with it. Do you have a problem with it?
I of course I don't have a problem with it, but I think where DC struggles and where Wonder Woman succeeded was the character element
Right.
of Wonder Woman, and even the sub characters of Chris Pine's Steve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Steve, and the villain, and I think where they fall into traps and where they fall into tropes is they get so focused on the image and the idea of the characters. I mean, that's so much of what's... I haven't seen Suicide Squad, but that's so much of how they marketed it was like, look at the Joker being creepy, look at Harley swinging a bat, look at her butt, like, rather than the deep-rooted
Yeah. Look at
person.
Wonder Woman with
It's
compassion.
like they can only offer, like what you're saying, like these characters only offer one thing.
Yes.
When obviously they don't. There's a lot of material there,
Yeah.
but we're only gonna like just focus on the
Deadshot
obvious.
can shoot
but-
people.
Yeah,
Harley
you're like,
Quinn's
we're
crazy.
like, well, shit, yeah,
Yeah.
we know.
Yeah.
But you're right, and yeah, Wonder Woman obviously has a lot to offer, and I think kind of showcase that throughout. And
Yeah.
and what's obviously not gonna be the last time we see her in something, so we're gonna have more opportunities for that to continue to blossom. But yeah, I mean, if this is all we ever got,
Yeah.
this is
And as
great.
As
I mean,
we
you know what I
wrap
mean,
this
as far
up-
as Wonder Woman's concerned.
we wrap this up, I will say Lacey can attest to my love for it. Wonder Woman has the best theme song of any single character. Holy shit, it's so good. Have you listened to
That's
it by
actually
itself?
something else. Yeah, like you know what? That's something I think has
Holy
been missing from a
shit.
lot of these superhero films for a long time now. Is there's not a lot of recognizable themes and scores.
Yeah.
To stuff. It's like the Danny Elfman Batman was like
Which
it's.
bless.
And by the way,
Yes.
he's also doing Justice League.
That's
Yes,
gonna be
he
huge.
is.
Holy shit! But yeah,
Ah.
there's that, and that's basically it. It's like everybody knows that theme, and they even borrowed it for the animated series. And then it's like, what else came from that? Like Hans Zimmer did some good stuff, I think. Some very,
Yeah.
very like kind of genre, like shifting
Which is-
things with the Dark Knight trilogy. But it's like there's not really like a theme.
You wonder, though,
I can
because-
recall, but that Wonder Woman one.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
it's so good. There's a really good video online too that breaks down why it's so good and why it feels so empowering. I digress, but that's something you gotta wonder. You think about these themes and people. If you attach a theme to a movie, people love it. Inception, while it might be not a song,
Oh yeah.
people know the Inception
That's true.
music. People know the Wonder Woman music. It is only a good thing.
Right.
So you wonder why you don't see that. more
And
often.
and I guess the only flip side that I can think of off the top of my head, Marvel wise, is the Guardian stuff. But those are all pre-existing songs.
Right.
Right.
You're like, oh, I loved that about the Guardians, that they had all these sort of popular songs that maybe I'd forgotten about, or these oldies that they
Yeah.
were throwing back to. But it's like, well, yeah, those are great, the Ooga Chaka and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
those are fun. But those aren't. That's not the same. You know.
I would
So
love to
it's
see
like-
Spider-Man have one. I mean, everyone knows the Spider-Man theme from the '90s.
Man.
Um,
that and the X-Men TV show.
Yeah,
90s
the X-Men.
theme.
Everyone,
Yeah.
you connect music, like
It's a big thing.
Psychologically, it's music connects you to things.
That might be the one thing you remember the most walking out. Later
Yeah.
on, you're like, you don't even know, you realize you're humming the theme to it. And you're
Yeah.
like, oh, dude, it's in my bones.
So. In summary, don't fuck up Venom. Sega games are coming out. I'm worried about Han Solo, and make more movie theme songs.
Yes, please.
Do it.
Anything else? All right.
That's it.
Thanks for listening and watching, everyone.
All right. See you next time.
Sweaty.
Charles.
Cool.
That's my vocal warm up.
One more time, you sound like Link.